I'd like to invite the panelists onto the dais. Horti Vision 2047, Production and Future Trends. I'd like to invite the panelists onto the dais. I'd like to invite the moderator first for the session, Mr. Azhar Tambuwala, who is the Executive Director of Sahyadri Farms, Nasik. Please welcome with the usual of applause. To join Mr. Azhar, we have Mr. GVK Naidu, Chairman and Managing Director, SAM Agri Group, Nasik. To join them, we have Mr. Kailas Bhosle, Maharashtra Grape Growers Association, Maharashtra. I'd also like to invite Mr. Mayank Tandon, Senior Vice President, Fresh Trop Fruits Limited, Nasik. I'd also like to invite onto the dais Mr. Kaushal Kakkar, Managing Director, KB Exports, Maharashtra. And he's joined by his father, Mr. Kakkar. He's with us. Yes. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we now have the panel discussion starting, and I would now like to hand out the mic to Mr. Azhar Tambuwala, a moderator for the session. Please, sir.
Good afternoon to everybody here. This session of ours is very, very particular, and I could not have asked for a better august presence of this panel, because cumulatively together here we probably have a decade of, a century of experience over here. When you look at what these people are here, they've actually spent probably at least a minimum of 20 to 25 years individually, as well as companies in this industry. And there would be nothing more, I think, not a better panel who can actually tell us about the future trends in production and horticulture over here. Just to give you a very quick introduction, not necessarily in, I'm just going from left to right. We have Mayank over there. Mayank is a Senior Vice President of Fresh Trop. Fresh Trop is one of the pioneering companies in export business. They've got a fantastic brand in international markets, a great presence, a fantastic grower relationship. They ventured into processed items also, and they have recently also gone corporate by sending some stake to Dehat. So a lot of expertise and vision and behind Fresh Trop. Kaushal is a second-gen farmer, or would I say a farmer business. And Kaushal has got so much which his father had started, and he's taken it to a completely different position in his business with a different variety of product lines and in various different markets. So he's created his own niche product lines for business in his line. Welcome, Kaushal. What do I say about Mr. Naidu? Mr. Naidu has been there forever, and his presence today itself speaks a lot. He started off in the fresh business, but today he's a very big name and brand in the processed areas. He's got a lot of product lines which he's venturing into. He's got many plants in the country, in the north and the south, even in the west, as in Nasik. He works in various product lines and new product lines all the time. So he comes up with stuff which are pioneering. So he's got these coconut chanches, he's got pomegranate arils, and as you saw earlier today, he's also launching wines, which are different kinds. So not the regular wine, but pomegranate and jamun, or what we call as a blackberry. A lot of experience, a lot of global connects, a lot of presence across the world, Mr. Naidu. Welcome. And when I speak of Mr. Bhosle here, he is like the backbone. The entire grape industry, the MRDBS, Maharashtra Rajya Adhyakshak Sangh, which is the backbone of the grape business, he is a pioneering pillar in what has happened in the grape business. If you have heard in the earlier panel where Mr. Patnaik and Ms. Vinita also mentioned about the journey of grapes from 93, where today it is one of the largest sectors where we are doing about 10,000 containers. Mr. Bhosle has got a very big hand behind that success of the entire industry. He has been with us since then. So, welcome everybody. And, you know, honestly to tell you that to have a 40-minute session on such a huge topic is never going to be enough. But we're going to try and do justice and try to bring to you some important ideas. You know, when I look at what we are trying to do in the future trends, now this panel actually came into business in a world where everything was new, India was new, and we were not in a digital age. And today, of course, 20 years later, 25 years later, you know, I'd like to ask Mayank this. Freshtrop, which has grown from what it was to its change as of recently where it has moved on and sold shares, from that journey, which it has actually seen, pioneered, created a brand, and where do you see Freshtrop going forwards? Let's say we are talking of 2047, and that's a very long thing. So how would you kind of frame your thought of Freshtrop's vision for the future? We've got a mic there. I'll get it for you.
Thanks, Azhar. Before I answer that question, I think I'll give a brief introduction of Azhar himself. You know, he gave a glowing introduction for each of us, but Azhar has, you know, when he says that we've spent 20, 25 years in the segment, I think he has also been involved for just as long and is an integral part of the infrastructure that you see around you at this point of time, which is Sahyadri, and playing an important role in the not just the grape industry, but fundamentally as an enabler of farmer. And with that, I think I'd like to thank you for introducing us in this manner, and congratulations for what you've built here.
Thank you, Mayank. This is more about you and not about me. So let's take
Yeah, so now to answer your question about as Freshtrop, how we started and where we see going for the next 25 years. Freshtrop, when we started out in the early 90s, there was really no precedence for exports or India being considered a safe and a hygienic origin for fresh produce in the Western markets. As Gokul sir has already explained that those were the early days. We had to learn everything from scratch. And thanks to the people who persevered during those initial struggles, we are now not just available in the Western markets as a product because they don't have a choice, but today we are available because we are a choice for them. And that's a proud achievement for the entire industry. And I think when we look to future, businesses are able to adapt much faster because they have a lot of infrastructure, they have a lot of skills and capabilities around them. But this entire journey, the hero of that journey has been the farmer. And I think if we are looking at the next 25 years, until and unless we place the grower or the farmer at the center of our vision, it's not going to be able to achieve what we would, or get to a place where we would like our business or industry to be. So I think Freshtrop has been focused on making sure that the farmer, we are not just paying lip service to the fact of doubling a farmer's income. Even before that became a phrase, I think as Freshtrop we are sometimes accused of, you know, paying too much to a farmer. But then we are happy with that accusation because at the end of the day, What we believe is that when the farmer gets more money or makes more money, one of the first things that happen is that he improves his quality of life. The children go to a better school, he gets a car for mobility, builds a better house, improving conditions of living, and after that, when they make more money, the next thing that he goes and does is buys more land, plants more grapes, gives me more grapes, makes more money, buys more land, plants more grapes. And that cycle continues, and we are very happy that we've been associated with farmers who started out with 5 acres and have more than 50 acres today. Now, this happens when a farmer is able to make a good profit on a product, and for that it's important to get to a market which can pay that money, because somebody has to pay that money, and it is not possible for an intermediate business to do that. Intermediate business serves the purpose of being an enabler, and that is the role that Freshtrop has tried to play by enabling market linkages to some of the best markets globally, whether it's UK, Scandinavia, European continent, now even China or East Asia. We try and get to the best possible markets. We focus on our value addition, which is post-harvest management. So we try to do our job well, and consequently, if the returns are better, we try and pay the farmers better. And everybody in the chain, there's a reason it's called a chain. It's only going to be as strong as its weakest link. And we are not competing with the farmers. We are working with the farmers. Our farmers are just as much our partners as our customers. And with that philosophy, we have moved ahead. Looking forward, I would completely concur with what our senior Mr. Patnaik had mentioned, that we have to focus on efficiencies. We have to focus on deriving maximum value out of this entire supply chain, of the produce that we produce and try to take to the market. As an organization, I think what we would like to do is stay in the role of an enabler. Because like they say, give a man a fish or teach him how to fish. As an additional comment to that, what I would like to say is that there are times when our policies, which are created to enable a farmer or enable any backward group, sometimes those policies become the primary hindrance in the progress of that group. For example, as a country, we have issues with protection of varieties. New varieties are needed for a higher yield. New varieties are needed for a better efficiency at the planting level. So what might at times seem as protecting a farmer against a multinational or a corporate, in fact ends up being a deterrent for some of the best genetics from coming to India. So I think it's important we focus there and focus our energies on being an enabler.
Thank you so much, and thank you for those insights. And I think I would agree with you where the industry actually accuses them of paying too much money, which we think is a very good thing. And this has been consistent, and the very fact that they've got these relationships with their growers and their customers over the years is actually proof that they're doing something right. And I think when you look at the future in horticulture, I think it's in safe hands in your company. Thank you so much for that. You know, my next question I'd like to ask Mr. Naidu. You know, Mr. Naidu, who actually started off in the fresh business, but at some point of time, he decided to move away. Now, when I look at China and Brazil, which is probably growing about 24%, 20 to 24% of all the horticulture produce grown is actually for processing and not for fresh. Whereas in India, it's different. A grower is actually growing first for fresh because that gives him the best value. And then if there is something else, he may go in for process, which is hardly 2 or 3%. So India needs to grow in that sector. However, Mr. Naidu moved to the processing sector long ago, many years ago. Now, what really prompted you to do that? And how do you see your entire company going forward in the processing sector?
Thank you, Azhar. This is a very tough question to answer you, like, how we shifted. I would say we have not completely shifted from fresh to process. It's a kind of a semi-process, and it is still a perishable product.
I meant semi-processed. I meant semi-processed or processed, yes.
Yeah, and when you look at our history, like, yes, we started with fresh produce way back in 25 years back with the grapes. And as all of us and all the dignitaries were speaking in the morning, Indian agriculture, horticulture is subject to so many vagaries. And I am basically different from this group in this dais because I am from South and rest all are from Maharashtra. So I have been experiencing a different kind of a farming section than what Maharashtra people are facing it. I would say in Maharashtra is more of a pro-agri, pro-horti kind of a culture has been established, whereas we try to survive in a place where I need to get farmers to get motivated to get into farming. And today, in fact, if you look at, when you say, what do you think is the future of this industry 25 years from now? My first question or my first worry would be, how do I motivate this next generation people to get into farming? Is the biggest question which we have been facing, as the younger generation is not coming forward to take up farming. And when to talk to them, like, see, today agriculture industry or horticulture industry is no less than IT industry in terms of its competition, be it in terms of the technology development or be it the HR, the people who get engaged into this. Today's boys, like Mr. Vilas was asking, like, now our target should be to get 2 lakh rupees per acre as a farmer. And today, if we talk to the younger generation, they will not be happy at 2 lakh rupees getting from the farm income. He would rather go for 1 lakh rupees as an IT employee to get into a city. So in such a situation, how do we get the younger generation motivated to this? And second one is, like, how do we create infrastructure for creating value additions? I would say today we need more number of Sahyadris across the country to make agriculture or horticulture sustainable. As Sahyadri, I feel it's like a university for any kind of agripreneurship. You learn anything over here and you get to know what is not known to you, you will get to know what can be done in terms of agriculture is concerned. And as a philosophy of Samagri, what we did is, we always looked at not get into the regular commodity kind of products. We looking at something unique. So that's how we were the first people to get into making pomegranate aerials and serve them as ready to eat to the international markets. And of course, now a couple of friends have already joined the firm. I mean, everybody is trying to do that. But we always feel pride, like, we were the first people to serve that. And similarly, whenever we look at further value additions, we are trying to do whatever possible from pomegranate. Any other new value additions can be done, right from skin to seed to juice. It's one of such experiments. Now, today we are launching pomegranate wine. This is as a part of our regular process. Whatever the wastages we have been getting from our processing, we try to convert into wine. And we are into dried aerials, we are into frozen pomegranate aerials, and we are into pomegranate seed oil. And now we are getting into how do I create a value addition from skin as well. So, unless you look at, this is one story of pomegranate, unless you try to create such kind of value additions across all horticultural crops, you will not be able to sustain on a long term. So, all of us need to put our efforts, how do we develop this, how do we create this infrastructure, and where are we creating this infrastructure? Today, if you talk about food parks, How many food parks have been successfully operating, running across the countries is a question, except Sahyadri, because the rest of the food parks, most of the food parks being created in India are with different motives or different ideas, be it political or any other kind of reasons. But it has to be created at a right location to be operated by right professionals. Then we can take agriculture forward and we can convince the next generation to accept the 2 lakh rupees as a revenue for them to survive and sustain in this business.
Thank you, Mr. Naidu. Some very deep-rooted questions you've asked, because there are ideas, there are plans, but the implementation are the serious challenges ahead, you know. So I would like to move to Bhosle साहब. आपसे नायडू साहब ने जो बात की कि वो तो हम सब महाराष्ट्रन हैं, वो बाहर से आए हुए हैं, तो illegal immigrant हैं, in a way to say. But however, उनका जो कहना है कि जो महाराष्ट्र में जो खेती हम कर रहे हैं, वो बहुत आसानी से उनको जो उनके स्टेट में लोगों को मोटिवेट करना पड़ता है, और हमारे वहाँ महाराष्ट्र में उन्होंने ये फ़र्क देखा है. अभी आप अंगूर में एक पायनियर रहे हैं, हमारे लीडर रहे हैं और इतना सारा काम कर चुके हैं. आपको इस इंडस्ट्री को जिस तरीके से हमने आगे बढ़ाई है, ये आप कुछ थॉट्स शेयर कर सकते हैं. और आप तो पूरी इंडिया में आप लोगों से बात करते, तो ये डिफरेंस क्या रहा है और महाराष्ट्र आगे क्यों बढ़ा है? ये एक बहुत सही ये मंच पे एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट सवाल होता है कि सिर्फ सबको पता है कि महाराष्ट्र आगे एग्रीकल्चर में है, लेकिन बाकी कंट्रीज इतनी क्यों, बाकी स्टेट्स इतनी क्यों नहीं हैं? और ये आप ऑलरेडी इतने साल से कर रहे, तो थोड़ा अगर आप शेयर करें कि हाउ कैन people emulate Maharashtra in the agri sector?
महाराष्ट्र में जो सब सारे फ्रूट जिसको कहा जाता है अभी एग्री एक्सपोर्ट जोन, पूरे इंडिया में महाराष्ट्र को ही मिला है. डिक्लेयर किया है कि एक्सपोर्ट का जो जोन है वो महाराष्ट्र में होगा एग्री इंडिया. तो शुरू से महाराष्ट्र में ग्रेप्स की खेती काफ़ी सालों से 60-70 साल से अंगूर की खेती कर रहे हैं, और उसमें उसके बाद अनार भी है, बाकी सारे फ्रूट की खेती महाराष्ट्र में शुरू से करते आए. लेकिन जो फ्रूट की खेती करते समय भी काफ़ी दिक्कतें महाराष्ट्र के फार्मर को भी आती है. ऐसा नहीं है कि क्लाइमेट चेंज का भी बहुत बड़ा इशू है, वो भी महाराष्ट्र में सारे फार्मर फिर भी वो लड़के, उनको पता है कि अगर ये नहीं करेंगे तो और क्या करेंगे, तो इसीलिए वो जोर लगा के लड़के वो काम करते. इसीलिए सारे महाराष्ट्र के जो फार्मर है सारे फ्रूट में वो आगे है. और जो अंगूर की खेती के बारे में अभी नायडू साहब जब पूछ रहे थे उधर भी क्यों नहीं हो सकती ना, बहुत अभी एमपी में भी होने लगी, महाराष्ट्र में भी कुछ ऐसे जिले थे, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कि उसमें अंगूर होता ही नहीं था. लेकिन अभी सबको समझने लगा, फार्मर को भी को कैश क्रॉप कहाँ है, पैसा कहाँ मिलता है, तो सब जगह अभी अंगूर भी होने लगे. नई नई वैरायटी अभी आने लगी. फिर भी अंगूर में तो न्यू वैरायटी का एक बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, वो आने अभी तो सह्याद्री ने शुरू भी किया और काफ़ी लोग कर रहे. तो ऐसी वैरायटी जैसे अंगूर की टेबल ग्रेप्स की है, लेकिन जूस की भी होनी चाहिए, बेदाना जो किशमिश बनता है उसकी भी वैरायटी होनी चाहिए. फार्मर और भी आगे जा सकता है, लेकिन सारे फ्रूट के फार्मर जा सकते हैं. उसके लिए क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से जो फ्रूट अफेक्ट होता है वो होना नहीं चाहिए. इसलिए ऐसी कुछ फार्मर के हाथ में अगर ऐसी वैरायटी देंगे तो और तुम्हारा उधर का भी फार्मर जा सकता है, इधर का भी जा सकता है, सारे इंडिया के फार्मर आगे जा सकते हैं. लेकिन उनको जो चाहिए वो मिलता नहीं. वो काम करने के लिए तैयार है, लेकिन काम करते समय उसको जो वैरायटी चाहिए, कोई बीज चाहिए जो क्लाइमेट चेंज में भी वो टिक सकता है, कोई उसके ऊपर असर नहीं आएगा, तो वो काम आगे जरूर जाएगा. फार्मर की और सारी दिक्कतें उसमें आती रहती है हमेशा. न्यू वैरायटी के बारे में तो हो गई, अभी क्लाइमेट चेंज के बारे में आप अगर बाहर जाएंगे, स्पेन में जाएंगे, इटली जाएंगे, तो कवर क्रॉप जो है वो इतना टेक्नोलॉजी आगे चला गया है, ये इंडिया के फार्मर को मिलना चाहिए. वो टेक्नोलॉजी भी कवर क्रॉप में उधर इतना अच्छा काम चल रहा है, लेकिन इंडिया में उस तरह का भी काम नहीं हो रहा है. और जो मार्केटिंग का इशू है उसमें सारी जगह मार्केटिंग जो क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से भी जो बाद में फसल खराब हो जाती है, वो ख़राब होने के लिए और तो कोई तरीके उसमें होने चाहिए। और जो जो अपना ग्रेप्स एक्सपोर्ट का जो है बिजनेस, जब एक्सपोर्ट होता है और एक्सपोर्ट होने के बाद कोई भी दिक्कत अगर आती है तो वो डायरेक्ट फार्मर के ऊपर आती है, वो फार्मर के जेब से पैसे चले जाते हैं। लेकिन अभी जब गाड़ी बनती है, कोई टाटा की हो या मर्सिडीज हो, कोई भी हो, उसका ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट बढ़ गया है, कुछ बढ़ गया है, तो जो लेने वाला है उसको देना पड़ता है वो कॉस्ट। लेकिन खेती का फ्रूट का एक ऐसा प्रोडक्ट है कि अगर कोई दिक्कत आ गई, अभी समझो यूरोप में एक्सपोर्ट चालू है, वो ट्रांसपोर्ट की कॉस्ट बढ़ गई तो फार्मर से जेब में से पैसे निकाले गए। क्यों? क्योंकि वो अभी गाड़ी अगर एक्सपोर्ट होगी तो उसके जेब से नहीं निकलते, गाड़ी वाले की जो प्रोडक्शन करता है उसकी, जो बेचने वाला, जो लेने वाला है, कंज्यूमर है, उसके जेब से पैसे अगर गाड़ी लेने के लिए जाते हैं तो फ्रूट के लिए भी जो फ्रूट खरीदता है उसके जेब से पैसे जाने चाहिए, वो नहीं जाते, वो डायरेक्ट उसका अफेक्ट आता है फार्मर के ऊपर। तो ये अफेक्ट फार्मर के ऊपर, जब तक ये ऐसी व्यवस्था बननी चाहिए कि ये असर फार्मर के ऊपर नहीं जाना चाहिए, जो कंज्यूमर के ऊपर जाना चाहिए। जो सारी इंडस्ट्री है उसमें वैसा ही होता है। अभी प्रोसेसिंग का भी, जैसे अभी वाइन बनती है, बेदाना बनता है, लेकिन जूस भी बनना चाहिए। जैसे कोका कोला है, वो मार्केट में हर कोई लेता है कोका कोला, तो ये फ्रूट जूस क्यों नहीं लेते कोई? उसका भी डेवलपमेंट होनी चाहिए। फ्रूट जूस भी इतने ज़ोरों से अगर बिकेगा तो फार्मर को फ़ायदा होगा, और सारे वर्ल्ड में, सारे इंडिया में भी खेती फ्रूट की हो सकती है। क्योंकि उसको पता चलना चाहिए कि अरे ये मेरे जेब में पैसे जब आने लगेगा तो वो फार्मर उस तरफ जाएगा, उसको पता चलना चाहिए।
थैंक यू भोसले साहब, आपने जो बताया ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रहेगा। मतलब जो बाकी स्टेट्स में ये क्लाइमेट चेंज की वैरायटीज़ को शायद सपोर्ट नहीं मिल रहा है और इस वजह से वो शायद पीछे रह रहे हैं, और महाराष्ट्र के किसान कहो या इंडस्ट्री कहो काफ़ी प्रोग्रेसिव रही है, इस वास्ते से वो आगे बढ़ चुके हैं। तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दैट। Kaushal, I haven't forgotten you. You know, you're looking pretty there, but also bored, but don't worry. Now, the thing is, Kaushal has created a different niche for himself, which a lot of people have not been able to do. He set up his own offices in Europe, and he has got his own supply chain to distribute mangoes and other product lines, which are not bulk volume like grapes, but they're extremely niche, high-end, high value. And he's created a brand. If you go into UK wholesale markets or any wholesale markets during mango season, you will always see KB mangoes or grapes or some product, the brand over there. So how did you go through this journey of creating this niche while everybody else at one point of time, I remember you were also doing grapes, but you moved on and you specialized with Indian vegetables and mangoes. How was that journey, and how do you look at it in the long term, especially when you look at digitization of farms and you look at all the sustainability angles and the fact that India's got small land holding. So growing your footprint in that space in the future, you know, can we have your thoughts on that?
Sure. Thank you, Azhar. Thank you for this very interesting question. And it's really a privilege to be a part of this event here. So I'll rewind to 20 years back, where we were offered an opportunity to offer some pesticide-free vegetables. So we were already operating in the wholesale markets in Europe, but the supermarkets needed certain specifications to be complied, be it global gap, be it MRL compliance. And we started training farmers to adopt those practices and follow those safe pesticides. We did not get much success. So the fragmented land holding or the small farmers was a hindrance. So we were not able to really monitor the food safety compliances as thoroughly. And let's say, for example, we are talking about sending say 1,000 boxes of some vegetable. Now those 1,000 boxes of 5 kilo would probably need about 200 farmers to compile a shipment. So it's very complicated to ensure testing of 200 farmers for one shipment. So the only way to assure that the product is compliant is to make sure the systems are strong. You cannot rely on a lab test for these kind of activities. And we realized that to win customers' confidence, we maybe need to invest in our own farming and demonstrate that this is very much possible. So that's what we did 20 years back. We invested in our own farming operation, and then we graduated and did a different farm in a different area. And people saw that we are quite comfortably able to achieve food safety compliances. In fact, there was time where there were no MRLs for certain Indian vegetables. So we had to actually establish the PHIs, the harvest intervals ourselves. So we invested in a day 3, day 6, day 9 study across a range of pesticides, across different dosages, and across different seasons. And that was a huge effort, but it differentiated us as a very serious player out of India who was successfully able to achieve the food safety levels that were required. And once we started demonstrating these practices on our own farm, small farmers around us started seeing that yes, it's very much viable, you don't have to worry so much, and you can adopt some use of safe pesticides which are having very high PHIs. And that led to this model of we actually encouraging small farmers to exactly follow what we do, but with a difference in the sense that now we offer them pesticides and we now spray for them. So that was the difference we brought to the model, that the farmers are very hardworking, they are very capable with their water management, with their nutrition and with the harvesting. But the food safety compliance, we kept it under our control for those small farmers. And that really gave us the assurances that we could do to our end customers on the same level as if it is our own farm. Because we were virtually farming with the farmer, but one specific aspect. And that really led to a fairly successful development of our business. And as you rightly mentioned, we are quite integrated. We have a presence in a lot of things. So the moment we got into the self-spray model, we found that owning a process actually has a lot of advantage. And we started doing more and more of it. So we became an air freight forwarder. We started taking our own vehicles rather than invest in a transporter. And we also now have an office in UK and the US. So having these setups really helped us to gain more control over the supply chain, give better and assured quality to the farmer, to the customers. And we were able to generate value in some or all of these integrations. So in some times the air freight was very high, so we actually suffered some losses. But we managed to make sure that other elements of the integration were able to create the value. So the de-risking across integration was also quite useful for us. And that led us to this belief that this integrated way of working is a very interesting and a value-added model for us.
It's a very interesting journey, and thank you for sharing those inputs. You know, one question which has come up twice today, Mr. Pardeshi also mentioned that, you know, why can't a farmer decide the price of his produce? And Bhosle Sahab also said the same thing. If there's a problem, किसान तक वो प्रॉब्लम क्यों आती है? Why doesn't the consumer pay for it? Now, question is, I'm going to throw this, anybody can take this, you know, this question, is a lot of us, including me and everybody over here, is doing a lot of B2B sales. Do you think we as India or as you as a company can actually reach out and influence the B2C space, whether it's in the Indian markets, in the fresh or processed, or in the international markets? Can we achieve that? Do you think it's a possibility? The question has been raised twice today. So, is it a possibility that we can dictate that? And we know all the market dynamics, and I don't want to get into that, but it's a question. Do you see a future where we can do that? Can we get that strength within our product lines, whether our company strength, whether India as a country? Do you really think we can achieve that? So, ये सवाल सबके लिए है. Anybody who wants to take it?
So maybe I'll share some initiatives we have done on that sense. We are quite active on mango, and especially mango exports to US and UK. And mango is one commodity that goes to the home of a consumer unlike any other commodity. So the people buy a whole mango box. They'll not buy a box of okra. They will buy a small quantity or a small portion out of it. So the mango as a box was an interesting model for us. We have extensive websites, recipes. There's a lot of information which goes on the boxes. There's a lot of social media campaigns which we run, which is enabling a lot of our brand equity. So in a limited way, across one particular product, we have been able to do some work there. It has still not gone to the mainstream in the international markets. It's still the Indian diaspora. But we see that probably there will be avenues which will open up in that direction also for us.
Mayank.
भोसले जी ने एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ बोली कि सप्लाई चेन में जब भी कोई दिक्कत होती है तो वो फार्मर की जेब से निकलता है। अभी फ्रेट बढ़ गया तो वो फार्मर की जेब से निकलता है। वहाँ पे रिटेलर्स आपस में मार्केट शेयर के लिए लड़ाई करते हैं, वो भी फार्मर की जेब से निकलता है। अब क्या इसको रोका जा सकता है या क्या कोई तरीका बनाया जा सकता है जिससे कि ये फार्मर नहीं कस्टमर की जेब से निकले? तो मेरे दो मत हैं इसमें कि एक तो जो किसी भी प्रोडक्ट या सर्विस का दाम है उसको कंट्रोल नहीं किया जा सकता। आई एम सॉरी, आई एम हैविंग टू answer that so that he also has an understanding what I'm saying, that prices can't be controlled. दाम हमेशा हर प्रोडक्ट का अपनी मार्केट की परिस्थिति के हिसाब से चलता है। सप्लाई और डिमांड उसको काफी हद तक रेगुलेट करता है। क्या हम ये डिसाइड कर सकते हैं कि हमको अपना प्रोडक्ट किस भाव में बेचना है? हाँ, बिल्कुल डिसाइड कर सकते हैं। उसी तरह खरीदार भी डिसाइड करेगा कि क्या उसको उस भाव में खरीदना है कि नहीं। तो जब उन दोनों का मेल होगा कि बेचने वाला कहेगा कि हाँ मैं इस भाव में ही बेच सकता हूं, इसके नीचे नहीं बेचना चाहता, और खरीदार को ये लगेगा कि ये कॉस्ट नहीं ये वैल्यू मेरे को मिल रही है, तो वो खरीदेगा। सबको अगर समाधान होगा तो वो सौदा होता है। हमारी कोशिश में वापस इसी चीज के ऊपर आ जाता हूं कि ये इंपोज करना कि हमको एक भाव मिले किसी चीज का, मुझे नहीं लगता कि ये आज की दुनिया में या अगले 10 साल की दुनिया में ये मुमकिन होने वाला है, क्योंकि प्राइसेस हमेशा मार्केट डिसाइड करता है। और प्रोटेक्शन के मैं मतलब सिद्धांत के रूप में मैं प्रोटेक्शन के अगेंस्ट हूं। I mean, I'm against any protective policies because आज तक प्रोटेक्शन ने किसी की मदद नहीं की है। हमने प्रोटेक्शन दिया है जाति के नाम पे, क्लास के नाम पे, हर नाम पे हमने प्रोटेक्शन दिया है, लेकिन 75 सालों में मुझे आप ये बताइए कि उस प्रोटेक्शन के बाद कौन सी ऐसी जाति या कौन सा ऐसा समुदाय या कौन सा ऐसा क्लास ऊपर आ गया है और कहा है कि अब हमें प्रोटेक्शन की जरूरत नहीं। तो यदि कोई बाहर नहीं आने वाला और सब घुसने की रेस में लगे हैं तो प्रोटेक्शन से किसी का भला नहीं होने वाला आगे। लेकिन हाँ, वहीं पे मैं उस वापस एनेबलिंग की बात के ऊपर आता हूं कि हमको माहौल ऐसा खड़ा करना चाहिए कि जो किसी भी प्रोडक्ट का जो पैसा है वो ग्राहक देता है। मैं फार्मर तक तभी पैसे ला सकता हूं जब वो ग्राहक, वहां यूरोप में अगर मैं एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा हूं तो वो ग्राहक ने अगर पैसे दिए और वो खाने में खुश हुआ तो आके वो वापस खरीदता है। उसने पैसे दिए तो सुपरमार्केट का माल बिकता है, सुपरमार्केट का माल बिकता है तो आके हमारे से वो और मटेरियल लेता है, हमसे और लेता है, उसकी डिमांड और बढ़ती है, हम उसको प्राइस बढ़ा सकते हैं। हम प्राइस बढ़ा सकते हैं तो हम वो प्राइस एक फार्मर को दे सकते हैं। तो हमारी कोशिश जो इस सप्लाई चेन में हमारा उत्तरदायित्व है या हमारा जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है वो ये है कि हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कितना ला सकें, लेकिन हम उस चीज़ को प्रोटेक्ट कर सकें। ये मुझे लगता है कि एक ऐसी स्थिति आगे हो, भविष्य में ये नहीं होने वाली। लेकिन जो सबसे ज़्यादा उम्मीद की बात यहाँ ये है कि हम बार बार एक्सपोर्ट की बात करते हैं। वी हैव अ डोमेस्टिक मार्केट, वी हैव अ डोमेस्टिक मार्केट एंड यहाँ से एक मोटवानी जी भी हैं, वो भी यहाँ पर हैं। ही इज़ रनिंग अ चेन जो कि दे ब्रिंगिंग प्रीमियम फ्रूट to the domestic consumers. In the last multiple years, on several occasions during the grape season, we have sold our grapes in the domestic market at the same realization that we sell it to a high-end retailer in UK or Scandinavia. There are multiple instances. लेकिन उस डिमांड को बढ़ाने के लिए ये ज़रूरी है कि वो प्रोडक्ट हम वैसा दें. कस्टमर को हम खाने की चीज़ बना रहे हैं, खाने में मज़ा आएगा, वापस आके खाएगा. If he doesn't enjoy it, he is not coming back. We can ask this question to ourselves. If we pay money, it doesn't matter whether we pay 50 rupees for an apple or 150 rupees for an apple. When we take that apple back to our family, if my child doesn't enjoy biting into that apple, and that apple feels like a ball of cotton, he tells me, what rubbish have you got? And as a consumer, I will feel bad about it. I'll pay 150 rupees for an apple if I can afford it. Point number one. But point number two, when I take it back to my family and my child enjoys biting into it, when he feels the crisp, the juiciness, he says that this is a fantastic thing that you've got. Next time when you go to a fruit store, please get it again. You will feel, each of us will feel that we spent the 150 rupees well. So the focus has to be on improving our quality, improving our yield so that the farmer realization can increase. But the farmer realization can only increase if we are able to show value to a consumer. Because he is the only one who is paying the salaries of the people working in the supermarket. He's the only one, the consumer. He's paying for the profits of a retailer, the profits of a supply chain partner, whether it's a logistics company or it's a packing material company, and eventually the farmer as well. And in order to focus on the product, the focus also has to be on the product producer.
Thank you.
मयंक जी, आपने जो बात कही कि फार्मर से जेब से पैसा निकलता है, जाता है, कोई भी अगर आफत आएगी तो हम वही बोलते हैं, लेकिन वो जो आप बोल रहे हैं वो आसान नहीं हो सकेगा. दूसरी तरह बाकी सारी इंडस्ट्री में होता है कि उसके जो उत्पादक है उसके जेब में से कुछ नहीं जाता, फार्मर से ही जाता है. और ये होना चाहिए, आसान नहीं है. अभी प्रमोशन होना चाहिए. अभी ग्रेप्स की बात अभी मैं ग्रेप्स की बात करूँगा. ये ग्रेप इंडस्ट्री में 4.5 लाख एकड़ पूरे महाराष्ट्र में ग्रेप्स इंडस्ट्री का ये है. तो 4.5 लाख एकड़, इसको फार्मर मत समझो ना, इसको इंडस्ट्री कहो ना. ये ग्रेप्स की इंडस्ट्री है. इंडस्ट्री में कितने लोग काम करते हैं? पूरे महाराष्ट्र में 10 लाख लोग इंडस्ट्री में, ग्रेप्स की इंडस्ट्री में काम करते हैं, बाकी सारे फ्रूट छोड़ के. उसका तो हिसाब अलग रहेगा. मुझे बताओ, इंडिया में कौन सी ऐसी इंडस्ट्री है क्या 10 लाख लोग उसमें पूरे साल भर काम कर रहे? ऐसी है कोई इंडस्ट्री? खाली ग्रेप की इंडस्ट्री है, वो सारे साल भर काम करते हैं. और सीजनल जो अभी तुम्हारा पैकिंग एक्सपोर्ट जो होता है सीजनल, वो तो लोग अलग रहते हैं उसमें. उसको भी काउंट करेंगे तो और 2-3 लाख बढ़ जाएंगे. और आसान क्यों नहीं हो सकता? अभी प्रमोशन करना चाहिए. इंडिया का एक्सपोर्ट कितना होता है? ग्रेप का पूरा प्रोडक्शन जो है वो 32 लाख मेट्रिक टन है महाराष्ट्र में. और 32 लाख मेट्रिक टन से खाली 2 लाख मेट्रिक टन एक्सपोर्ट होता है. बाकी कहाँ बेचते? इंडिया में ही बेचा जाता है ना. लेकिन उसका प्रमोशन होना चाहिए. कोशिश सारे मिलके अगर करेंगे वो प्रमोशन के लिए, पहले तो मेरा कहना है वो जो इंडियन मेडिकल काउंसिल है ना, उनको पहले साथ में लेके बैठना चाहिए, उनके साथ मीटिंग होनी चाहिए. क्योंकि डॉक्टर अगर बताएगा ये फ्रूट खाना जरूरी है तो सारे लोग खाएंगे अपने आप. लेकिन जब किसी को खांसी आती है, बुखार आता है, तो डॉक्टर पहले पूछता है, अरे अंगूर खा के आए क्या तू? ये तो उनके दिमाग से निकलना चाहिए ना. तो पहले इंडियन काउंसिल, मेडिकल काउंसिल है, उनके साथ मीटिंग होनी चाहिए. उनको समझाना चाहिए कि अरे ग्रेप्स खाने से और बाकी फ्रूट खाने से क्या फायदे होते हैं, अपने बच्चे को भी उसकी सेहत कैसी हो सकती है मजबूत. ये सब पहले अपने इंडिया में होना चाहिए. सारा ग्लोबल मार्केटिंग समझते हैं इंडिया को। इंडिया का बाकी यूरोप हो, यूके हो, अगर कोई भी हो जो अपन एक्सपोर्ट करते, उनकी लोक संख्या कितनी और इंडिया की कितनी, कितने अभी इंडिया में अंगूर इतना होता है, फिर भी सारे स्टेट में अंगूर नहीं जाता। कहाँ साउथ में जाता है क्या अंगूर? उस तरफ अंगूर पहुंचता नहीं, उसकी सेल्फ लाइफ भी नहीं है वैसी, स्टोरेज कैपेसिटी इंडिया में नहीं है, कूलिंग कैपेसिटी भी नहीं है। अगर एकदम प्रोडक्शन बढ़ जाता है, कभी कभी एक महीना ऐसा आता है कि सारे रेट कोलैप्स हो जाते हैं। अगर कूलिंग कैपेसिटी होंगी, स्टोरेज कैपेसिटी होंगी, तो उसमें सारे फार्मर माल रखेंगे ना, उनका कोई भी फ्रूट हो उसमें रखेंगे। जब भाव बढ़ेगा धीरे धीरे वो निकालेंगे, लेकिन वो निकालने के लिए ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम अभी डेवलप होनी चाहिए और सारे स्टेट में वो फ्रूट पहुंचाने का एक अच्छा तरीका होना चाहिए। हर टाइम पे जहाँ जहाँ ज़रूरत है, कुछ लोग बोलते हैं अभी साउथ में किधर भी जाएंगे तो उनको बोलते हैं हमको अंगूर खाने को नहीं मिलता। क्यों नहीं मिलता? अपन किसको खिलाते हैं? यूरोप यूके को। और इंडिया में सारे स्टेट है उसको नहीं मिलता। तो ये सिस्टम अगर होगी तो फार्मर के जेब में वो धीरे धीरे एकदम नहीं पैसा निकाला जाएगा, लेकिन धीरे धीरे निकलेगा, बाद में निकलेगा ही नहीं। ऐसी कोई व्यवस्था होनी चाहिए इस बारे में। तो ये काम अगर हो जाएगा ना तो धीरे धीरे आसान हो जाएगा सारी तरह। आप बोल रहे थे क्या अगले 10 सालों में आगे नहीं, आपको लगता है ऐसा हो पाएगा? लेकिन हमें आशा है अगर सारे मिलके काम करेंगे, एक्सपोर्टर भी हो और फार्मर भी हो और सारे गवर्नमेंट उसके साथ में वो चाहिए, सारे लोग, सारी इंडस्ट्री। अभी देखो जो खेती के ऊपर जो सारे लोग हैं, पैकिंग मटेरियल वाले होंगे, प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट वाले होंगे, अभी कितना प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट बढ़ रहा है। सबसे पहले खेती का प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट कम होना चाहिए, उसके ऊपर पहले फोकस करना चाहिए। अभी नई वैरायटी लाई समझो सह्याद्री ने, तो वो वैरायटी के पीछे हमने प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट का एक एवरेज निकाला था। एवरेज 1 लाख रुपया फार्मर का बचता है। तो 1 लाख रुपया अगर बचेगा तो वो जेब में किसके जाएगा पैसा? फार्मर के। तो प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट के ऊपर भी ध्यान देना चाहिए कि फार्मर के लिए कौन सी चीज़ में प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट बढ़ रही है, वो अगर उसको भी थोड़ा कम करेंगे, वो सारे मिलके करना चाहिए। या आप नहीं कर सकते, मैं खुद नहीं कर सकता, उसमें गवर्नमेंट का भी बहुत बड़ा रोल है। और जो प्रोडक्शन करने वाले, समझो जो खाद लगती है, दवाई लगती है, उसको भी एक टेबल पे अगर लाएंगे, ऐसे बिठाएंगे, तो वो भी कुछ बातें सुन के उनके मन में भी कुछ आ सकता है, नहीं यार फार्मर के क्या दिक्कत है, वो समझनी चाहिए। वो समझ के वो प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट, अगर उसकी कॉस्ट कम करेगा तो अपने आप फार्मर का भी प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट कम हो जाएगी और सारा आसान हो जाएगा। लेकिन ये करने के लिए सारे एक साथ होने चाहिए। लेकिन कोई भी दिक्कत आएगी, कोरोना भी आया तो फार्मर को दिक्कत। कोरोना के टाइम किसको दिक्कत आया? बेचने वाले को आया क्या लेने वाले को आया? तो बेचने वाला फार्मर से लेगा तो फार्मर को ही दिक्कत आया ना। फोकट में भी माल देना पड़ा, अरे लेके जाओ। लेकिन ऐसा क्या है, हमारा ये फ्रूट प्रोडक्शन ऐसा है क्या? ऐसा नहीं ना, अभी कौन सी गाड़ी बन गई, अरे नहीं बेचेगी तो साल भर रख दो उसको बाजू में। तो खेती का प्रोडक्ट ऐसा है, उसको उस टाइम बेचना ही पड़ता है कुछ भी करके। तो उसके लिए कोई तरीका निकालना चाहिए, ये मेरा कहना है।
मुसले साहब, एक्चुअली ये जो आप बताया बिल्कुल सही है, लेकिन वो जो रिस्क और बेनिफिट जो बात कर रहे हैं वो किसान का भी होता है और जो इसका एक्टिविटी जो हैंडल करते हैं, एक्सपोर्टर हो, प्रोसेसर हो, उसका भी होता है। ये तो कलेक्टिव जॉब होना चाहिए, क्योंकि इसका पहले अपना माइंडसेट तैयार होना चाहिए। जो हम बना रहा है इंडिया में, वी आर competing with other developed countries where we are trying to sell in Western countries, like, you know, our product is going into the Western countries against the developed countries. जिसके पास वो प्रोडक्ट बनाता है, he clearly makes the product to meet to the standards of that importing country. लेकिन हम जो बना रहा है, जो भी बना रहा है, we are trying to position that product into various segments. समझो अभी मेरे को ग्रीन प्रोडक्ट मिल गया, अंगूर, put it into UK packing. If उसका थोड़ा कम हो गया, थोड़ा एम्बर दिख रहा है, put it into यूरोप packing. एंड जो भी दोनों जगह नहीं गया, मिडल ईस्ट में डाला यानी डोमेस्टिक में डालो। जब एक्सपोर्ट के लिए हम इतना एफर्ट करके पैकोस बना के, कोल्ड स्टोर बना के, कोल्ड चेन मेंटेन करके कर रहा है, वही एफर्ट जब हम डोमेस्टिक मार्केट में फोकस करना चाहिए, उतना एफर्ट नहीं जा रहा है। वाई आर वी नॉट जैसे आप बोले हम सिखाना चाहिए, प्रमोट करना चाहिए डोमेस्टिक मार्केट में। डोमेस्टिक मार्केट का कंज्यूमर्स को भी हम वही स्टैंडर्ड पे जब माल देगा तो इधर निकल सकता है। तो इट विल बी अ विन-विन फॉर बोथ, आई मीन ग्रोअर्स एज वेल एज द स्टेक होल्डर्स हु हैंडल द प्रोडक्ट। एंड जैसे भी ऐसे दिक्कत कोरोना वैसे आया, इट्स नॉट जस्ट किसानों का नहीं, जो भी ये फ्रेश प्रोड्यूस इंडस्ट्री में स्टेक होल्डर्स है सबको दिक्कत आया था। वो प्रोसेसर्स हो सकते हैं, एक्सपोर्टर हो सकते हैं, किसान हो सकते हैं, एवरीबडी हैड टू फेस द प्रॉब्लम। एंड दैट्स बिकॉज वी आर इनटू द प्रोड्यूस बिजनेस, फ्रेश प्रोड्यूस बिजनेस। उसका एक ही सोल्यूशन है, वैल्यू एडिशन बनाओ, देन ओनली यू कैन टॉक अबाउट you make your price. You are not asking your price, you at least, you tell, if it is a processed product, you can at least, this is what is the price of my product, you want, you buy. Otherwise, I store in my storage. Otherwise, it is always perishable, or kacha hi hota hai.
So that was a very tricky question I asked, because it has given us a political leaning and a lot of emotion over here. तो काफ़ी जज्बात बाहर आ गए। एक सिंपल सा सवाल मैंने किया था, तो थैंक यू सो मच, आप लोगों ने इतनी यू गिव सच अ ह्यूज इनसाइट इनटू ऑल ऑफ दैट। तो मेरे पास सवाल तो बहुत है, और मैंने जैसे कहा आधे पौने घंटे में पूरे जो एक we need to discuss about vision about the future is not possible, but this is just a little idea of what stalwarts like these in the industry for so many years contributing to the industry can are thinking about the future. But what I'd like to throw to the audience, if you have any questions for this panel, I'm sure they'll be happy to take any questions from you people. So anybody who's got a question, please raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you. For anybody over here. These guys are stalwarts in their own ways, a wealth of experience. Sir, we have one hand over there. Can we have a mic over there, please?
हेलो, जैसा सर आपने अभी बोला कि फार्मर को हम कैसे एम्पावर करें कि
आपका सवाल किसके लिए? भोसले साहब?
मेरा काम भोसले साहब के और एक्सपोर्ट से जो डील कर रहे हैं उन दोनों लोगों से है। आई एम वेरी मच एग्री विद द भोसले साहब टू हिंदी में मैं बोलूँगा सर। एज अ ग्रोवर वी आर ग्रोइंग स्ट्रॉबेरी, और हम इसको मंडी में जब बेचते हैं तो हमने ट्रेसेबिलिटी फीचर दिया QR कोड लगा के, सो दैट अ कंज्यूमर कैन डायरेक्टली रीच टू द ग्रोवर, so that we can face the better price in the market. But the problem is that कि जब हम स्टिकर लगा के ब्रांडिंग करके मार्केट में अपना प्रोडक्ट ले जाते हैं, तो जो आड़ती हैं, जो रिटेलर्स हैं, they refuse to put don't sticker. We don't want your branding and labeling. They are not allowing us to break the blockchain management of supply chain. So in such circumstances, how we can compete the market hindrance? जब तक हम कंज्यूमर से ज़्यादा डायरेक्ट नहीं जुड़ेंगे, हम तब कैसे हम फार्मर या ग्रोवर को ज़्यादा इनकम दिला सकते हैं? भोसले साहब, आई वुड लाइक टू योर इनसाइट।
थोड़ा उनको क्लैरिटी नहीं आई कि
मैं कह रहा हूँ सर,
थोड़े में आपका सवाल एक
सर, स्ट्रॉबेरी के पैकेट पे एक ब्रांड लगाते हैं और एक QR कोड लगाते हैं, जिसको अगर आप मोबाइल से आप स्कैन करेंगे तो आपको पता लग जाएगा इस फ्रूट में क्या न्यूट्रिशन वैल्यू है, कहाँ उगाई गई है और कहाँ लोकेशन है फॉर्म की, कौन सी वैरायटी है। हम ये चाहते हैं कि हमारी स्ट्रॉबेरी जो भी कंज्यूमर खाए उसको हमारे ग्रोवर के बारे में सीधे पता लगे और हमारी वेबसाइट और हमारा नंबर उस पर रहे, सो दैट कंज्यूमर अगली बार उसको अच्छा लगता है, फ्रेश लगता है तो डायरेक्ट कंज्यूमर ग्रोवर से जुड़ जाए और हम उसको रिटेल में बेच पाएँ, बजाय कि मंडी में थ्रोन अवे प्राइस पे बेचें। तो इस प्रोसेस में हम मंडी में जब अपना स्टिकर लगा के प्रोडक्ट बेचते हैं तो हमें जो आड़त के लोग हैं, मंडी के लोग हैं, वो मना करते हैं कि आप इस पे स्टिकर मत लगाइए, आप ब्रांडिंग मत करिए अपने प्रोड्यूस का। क्योंकि
कौन कहता है आपको ये
सर आजादपुर मंडी में है, मैं गुजरात में भी कर रहा हूँ ये मॉडल, वहाँ पे भी ये चैलेंजेस आते हैं, क्योंकि उनको ये डर होता है कि एक बार एंड कंज्यूमर ग्रोवर से जुड़ गया तो इनका खेल खत्म हो जाएगा। तो ये चैलेंज सर हम कैसे दूर करें?
नहीं नहीं, आपका जो कहना है ना
जी,
वो अभी हम एक्सपोर्ट, सारे लोग एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, इधर जो बैठे कुछ एक्सपोर्टर है, उसमें ग्रेप नेट सिस्टम है
जी,
उसका फार्म रजिस्ट्रेशन जब होता है तो एंड कंज्यूमर को पता चलता है कि ये कौन से फार्मर का माल है
जी,
ग्रेप्स अगर होगा तो वो तो होना ही चाहिए। रेसिड्यू फ्री अगर हम देते तो एंड कंज्यूमर को वो तो पता चलना ही चाहिए। और उसमें क्या वैल्यूएशन है, क्या है, आप जो पूछ रहे थे, अगर खाने वाले को ये पता चला मार्केटिंग के हिसाब से तो क्या क्या उसमें फ़ायदा हो सकता है, वो तो रिसर्च कोई इंस्टीट्यूट बता सकती है, वो लेबल आपको दे सकती है ना कि इसमें क्या क्या है, अगर खाने से क्या क्या फ़ायदा हो सकता है, एंड कंज्यूमर को वो भी पता चलेगा ना। तो वो, लेकिन वो जो ट्रेसेबिलिटी है वो तो होनी चाहिए।
बट
आपको अगर कोई कहता है तो वो गलत है, एंड कंज्यूमर को तो ये ट्रेसेबिलिटी तो होनी चाहिए।
लेकिन सर मार्केट में जब हम अपना ये स्टिकर ला कर ले आते हैं तो मंडी में एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं है।
आप थोड़ा माइक दूर पकड़ेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा थोड़ा।
मैं कह रहा हूँ सर, जब मंडी में हम ले जाते हैं तो जो रिटेलर्स हैं, जो बायर हैं फ्रूट के वेंडर्स, वो मना करते हैं आप स्टिकर मत लगाओ इस पे।
लेकिन क्यों मत लगाओ, ये मयंक जी आप
देखिए, दुर्भाग्य से या सौभाग्य से आज की तारीख में जो हमारे देश में रिटेलिंग है वो प्राइमरीली ऑर्गेनाइज्ड रिटेल ड्रिवन नहीं है। थैंकफुली द सिचुएशन फॉर अ ग्रोअर इज सच that you can create a brand today. See, because what happens is that in a retail, in an organized retail, and I can understand why your intermediary doesn't want you to place a sticker over there, because the easiest for an Aarti to sell is to bulk buyers or institutional buyers, which are the retailers, because they buy in bulk and his product moves in bulk. So he prefers that. But the moment you put your sticker, a lot of these retail buyers, a lot of e-commerce chains, they like to brand their own product. A lot of e-commerce suppliers as well. तो उनको अगर 100 बॉक्स भी चाहिए होते हैं, so they will want to put their own XYZ brand. The intermediary loses his flexibility to be able to sell to such customers. लेकिन यदि आप ऐसा इनिशिएटिव ले रहे हैं जहां पे आप अपनी ब्रांड क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, आप QR कोड लगा रहे हैं, उससे रिलेटेड न्यूट्रिशन इंफॉर्मेशन, उससे रिलेटेड भले फूड सेफ्टी इंफॉर्मेशन अगर वो रेसिड्यू टेस्टेड है तो यदि आप वो देते हैं, आज की तारीख में फिर भी इतना बड़ा मार्केट है कि वो इंटरमीडियरी उन शहरों में या उन वेट मार्केट्स तक ले जा सकता है जहां आपके प्रोडक्ट को ज्यादा अच्छा भाव मिलेगा compared to an organized retail today. आज भी अगर अच्छी क्वालिटी का फ्रूट खरीदना होता है, मैं नाम नहीं लेना चाहूंगा, लेकिन ज्यादातर रिटेल या ब्रांडेड रिटेल की दुकानों पे वो नहीं मिलता है। मिलेगा आपको नुक्कड़ की दुकान पे जो आपके मोहल्ले के साइड में है, क्योंकि वहां उसे पता है कि प्रोडक्ट की क्वालिटी सही नहीं होगी, आप वापस उसको जाके दे दोगे। सो ही वॉन्ट्स टू कीप द बेस्ट क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट। सबसे अच्छा प्रोडक्ट आज मिलता है हमारे वेट मार्केट में, क्योंकि एक पर्सनलाइज अटेंशन से एक कस्टमर उस दुकान वाले के साथ रिलेट करता है। उस दुकान वाले को 5 बॉक्स चाहिए, वो लाता है एक सेमी होलसेलर से जो कि 500 बॉक्स लेके आता है अपने शहर में। लेकिन अगर उसके 5 जल्दी बिकते हैं या अच्छा दाम उसे देते हैं तो वो उस ब्रांड को प्रेफर करता है। तो आपको बेशक अपना फोकस वहां रखना चाहिए कि आप अपनी ब्रांड क्रिएट कर रहे हैं तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, लेकिन हाँ, आपके पास बल्क में प्रोडक्ट है और आपको ज्यादा प्रोडक्ट बेचना है तो आपको उस जरिए से बेचना पड़ेगा जिस जरिए से उस क्वांटिटी में वो प्रोडक्ट बिक सके। So if you're differentiating on quality.
Sorry, you were finishing? No, I thought you had finished.
Yeah, I'm finished. I mean, if you're differentiating on quality, then you have to take it to a specific market with your brand.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. Basically, there is no fruit and vegetable branding in India. You know, you'll go and purchase a car or a shirt or a mobile phone, but unfortunately what you consume every day on a day-to-day basis has got no branding reflection in the country. So the country is in dire straits with regard to traceability. So what you're trying to do is you are on the right track. And the consumer has a right to know where the product comes from and needs to know branding. So just keep, don't really get confused about somebody saying don't do it, because I think that's the need of the hour, and I think everybody here will agree that in the long term, we all would like to have a branded fruit and vegetable product coming to us. So, you know, like I said, this session can go on, and this little 1 hour is not enough. But unfortunately, you know, we've got a lot of other interesting sessions coming up, and I, much as I wouldn't like to, but I have to close the session. The panelists are here. They will be circulating. You can, if you have questions, please feel free to come up and ask them these questions. And on behalf of the show and everybody here, on behalf of the listeners, thank you everybody for being part of this esteemed panel, I must say, because like I said, you guys together bring in at least a century worth of expertise behind you. Thank you so much here. And thank you everybody for graciously listening to this. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much, panelists, for this enriching and illuminating talks and topics. I would like to invite onto the stage Mr. Rajendra Srivastava, Novartis Professor of Marketing Strategy and Innovation, Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, and the Executive Director of ISB Center for Business Innovation, to kindly come and present mementos as a token of love and appreciation to our panelists here. The first memento to be given to Mr. GVK Naidu, Chairman and Managing Director, SAM Agri Group, Nasik. We have a round of applause, please, louder one. To Mr. Kailash Bhosle. Can we have the applause going on? To Mr. Mayank Tandon. To Mr. Kaushal Kakkar. And to the moderator of this session, Mr. Azhar Tambuwala. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to all the panelists, and I'll request you all to take your seats in front of the stage ahead. And I'll request Mr. Rajendra Srivastava sir to kindly be at the dais. I'll introduce sir to you in a few words. He's a thought leader in business innovation and organizational transformation with over 25,000 Google citations, making him the most cited marketing scholar based in India. He has managed higher education institutions across the globe and was appointed a Fellow of American Marketing Association, the only person living in India to be awarded this fellowship for long-term contribution to marketing discipline and practice. So we have the privilege of the earnest presence of Sir here, and we are now moving on to the next session with the presentations on global opportunities for Indian fruits and vegetable trade. And for the keynote address, I'll request Sir Mr. Rajendra Srivastava to kindly come to the dais for his address. Can we have a huge round of applause? If I can take a moment, I'll invite. So just taking a moment to invite the other speakers of this session onto the dais, and then we'll begin with individual presentations. I'll request Mr. Kuljit Rajora, Refer Sales Manager, Fruits and Vegetable and Processed Food from AP Molar Maersk, Mumbai. I'll also invite Mr. Mohammad Wafai, Deputy Chairman and Managing Director, Capital Agro, Egypt, to join us on the dais. Mr. Siddharth Gupta, Head of Procurement, Barakat Group, UAE. And Mr. Ravi Kumar, General Manager, Fruits and Vegetables, Lulu International, UAE. Kindly join us on the dais and proceeding ahead for the keynote address. Over to you, sir.
नमस्ते। तो आपको आधी अंग्रेज़ी में आधी हिंदी में बात करेंगे। हमारा प्रेजेंटेशन तो इंग्लिश में है। तो टाइटल हमें दी थी ये ग्लोबल अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ फॉर इंडियन फ्रूट्स एंड वेजिटेबल्स ट्रेड, लेकिन इसमें इस ट्रेड में हम लोग को बहुत काम करना पड़ेगा। थोड़ी यहाँ ग्लोबल मार्केट में बायस है, कंट्री ऑफ ओरिजिन का बायस है, एंड सो जापान, कोरिया, all these countries have had to go through. 50 years ago, Toyota was not a good brand. Okay, 15, 20 years ago, Hyundai wasn't a good brand. So it's taken a while for these countries and companies from these countries to establish themselves, and we are going to have to do the same. So what I'm going to talk about today for agriculture, fruits and vegetables is no different from what I tell managing directors of larger companies and what I did at the Indian School of Business. So I came back to India after 44 years in 2016 as a dean for the Indian School of Business. And the Indian School of Business was doing well, but we were struggling. And why were we struggling? It's because there's a common problem that we deal with in India, and all my students tell me that I don't understand India. And they tell me that, sir, आपको पता नहीं यहाँ पे सब लोग बहुत price conscious है। हमारी ये घड़ी है 22 साल पुरानी ही घड़ी है, करीब $100 में हमने खरीदी थी चांगी एयरपोर्ट में सिंगापुर में। 22 साल से हम पहन रहे हैं। हमारे स्टूडेंट्स घड़ी पहनते हैं तो एप्पल की और ये वो अपने बिहेवियर में नहीं प्राइस कॉन्शियस है, लेकिन हमको बोलते हैं कि वी हैव टू कम्पीट ऑन प्राइस। Why do we have to compete on price? So when I look at the Indian School of Business, we compete on price perhaps on a global basis, but fundamentally we compete on value. So what does a student want from a university education? They want a job. They want a well-paying job. To get a well-paying job, what we have to do is admit smart students. We need to give them education through thought leaders globally. So we don't detract from the capability, we add to the capability. And we have to do it at scale. So ISB is now one of the largest MBA programs in the world. And on one aspect, it is #1 in the world. And that #1 is percentage of salary increase from when you join to when you graduate. When you join, you're 11 lakhs average. When you graduate, you're 35 lakhs. Now, I'm really talking about it in terms of value appropriation. We have to work hard in order to appropriate value. And what we are used to doing is competing on price. So for example, if I take two companies, Trident and Welspun, I'll come to agriculture in a minute. These are leading companies in the world for linen and bed sheets and towels. So they produce the product. Marks and Spencer in UK or Target in the US will put the brand label on it. We, in our vacation, go to London and buy the product from India, from Marks and Spencer, at 3 times the price, and then we come back with branded goods at home. This is not very smart on our part. So when I work with companies, the first thing is we need to not compete on the lowest common denominator, which is price. What we need to do is we need to compete on design, we need to compete on customer solutions, we need to compete on brand, and we have to compete with amongst the best in the world. Generally, in order to do that, we have to leverage technology, and we have to appropriate value. So what do I mean by leveraging technology? If you look at the campus we are on, Sahyadri Farms, they're using mechanisms like drones, and they've been using it for a while. So if we use satellite images, we use drones, we can actually reduce the amount of water we use, we can reduce the pesticides, we can reduce the fertilizer, and at the same time, we can increase the output and the quality of the output. So let's compete on quality, let's compete on reputation, let's leverage technology, and then you will be surprised to know that what the balance sheet produces is totally inaccurate. If you look at the National Stock Exchange or the Nifty 50, the market capitalization, meaning the value of the company to the balance sheet value, that ratio is about 4.5 to 1, which means only about 22% of the value of the average Indian company is on the balance sheet. So where is the other 80-odd%? It's in the reputation. If I ask for a show of hands and say, how many of us in this room, and I do want a show of hands, how many of us in this room have either a Samsung or an Apple phone? Okay, it's about half the hands. You could have purchased a OnePlus or something like that for half the price with equally good capabilities, but you did not. So you were willing to pay more, almost 100% more, for a product based on reputation. So with that, what we need to do is we need to bring all this thinking to the farming community, to the agricultural community, as we look at fruits and vegetables and as we expand abroad. So what we face out here is a very long supply chain, and as we move from the left to the right, we have to increase our commitment, you have to increase the resources, and it's hard work moving from the left to the right. But what happens as you move from the left to the right is that your ability to extract rewards from the market goes up. So the question then becomes, It will start working. There we go. The question then becomes, what are the investments that we have to make in the supply chain infrastructure, including the investment in building the brand? And let me just run through what Sahyadri has done. And by the way, I wasn't asked to do this. I'm just doing this to illustrate, what has already happened in Nashik. Right? What has already happened in Nashik is that there are 25,000 farmers that are working together. Just before this session, a question was being asked very passionately that in the market, we are not allowed to put the stickers. If you're an individual farmer, you will have difficulty putting stickers. But if you have 25,000 farmers, then you can tell the buyer, the retailer, आपको चाहिए है कि नहीं चाहिए है. Okay? The power will come from what I call aggregation. And so we need to be able to do that. And we need that power not only in the mandi in Maharashtra, we need that same power in the mandis that are there globally. Okay? We look further. Using technology, we can get better quality. We can, in this day and age, we can do organic farming. People in the West, in foreign markets, are willing to pay for the organic certification. And in order to get that certification, we need to be able to do blockchain analysis. So technology has to back up the hard work that we're doing. Similarly, if you look at the technology that we're using to do quality control, the sorting, the verification out there, in the consumer market, we need to start looking at how do we get the information out. I'm just running through all this. We can also be looking at mechanisms that are being used, technology that is being used, and in order to improve our output, and at the same time, by adding traceability and things like blockchain, what we are able to do is certify the products that we're bringing to the market. We meaning the collective of 25,000 farmers in this community, already have received, we have received basically a certification, if you want to think of it that way. And that certification is from the Food and Drug Administration. Oops, sorry, it looks like I skipped forward. My apologies. So we have certification, we have quality control that has already come in. But what I want to do is, as we move up the value chain, as we move up the value chain, and as we move from, let's say, tomatoes to ketchup to marinara sauce, what you will find is that the economics change very quickly. So if you look at tomatoes, I looked it up last night at 3 in the morning, and what I got on the internet was a price of 30 rupees per kilogram. And actually, it's probably lower than that, I was told. But if I look at finished goods, and this is a brand name called Rouse. It's very popular in the US now. If I look at the value of Rouse, it's about 658 rupees per kilogram. So do we want to make 30 rupees, or do we want to make 658 rupees? That sort of becomes the question. The question is also, how did Rouse build up the brand? They married the brand to health, and they married the brand to wellness. So this was the branding, and they have now taken an entire product line, and that product line is there to compete with some of the global brands out there, and they're doing very well. So I've been buying Rao's marinara sauce, for example. I spent half my time in the US in Austin, Texas, and half my time in Hyderabad. So I've been buying this thing. And last night I decided I would talk to you guys about it. So I said, let me trace where this family came from. So if you think of a name like Rao, how many of you would agree that I should have expected South India? Okay, hands up. Everybody agrees it's a South Indian name. I looked at it. I looked at the history of this company, this family. It's actually an Italian family. I had no idea that Rao's marinara sauce, which is so popular and selling at a price premium compared to American brands, is an Italian family, not an Indian family. So if an Italian family can do it, why the hell can't we do it? All right? It bothers me when I go to an upper-end store, and if I'm looking for mango chutney, I find mango chutney coming from Italy. Okay? We have a problem. I will run through some of these things. They are, not sure. Okay, this is mint. One of my students is in the mint business. India, you may not know, is about 80% of the global production of pudina. 80% of the pudina in the world comes from India. So what happens? We export it to China. China manufactures chewing gum. It shows up under an American brand name called Wrigley's Spearmint chewing gum. And then we Desis again kind of buy it. So the problem really is that we are doing the ground level work and somebody else is capturing the value. I can also talk about tea. Darjeeling, Nilgiri, whatever, on and on. And the price, if you will, is about $2.5 per kilogram on the auction market. Global mandi mein $2.5 की है per kilogram. 1 kilogram से 400 tea packets बनते हैं. So you translate that, and it comes down to 51 rupees per 100 tea bags. Okay. Now, when you look at what are the options available, the options are Twinings and this, that, and the other, and even Amazon has their own version of the tea bags, and the Amazon bags are selling at 100 tea bags for 1,050. So do we want to sell at the mandi, or do we want to sell branded goods? And there's one company I wanted to point out. This is called TWG. TWG is pricing their product at close to 3,400 rupees for 15 tea bags. 3,400 rupees for 15 tea bags. And you might see it says TWG 1837. I thought this was a tea company that has been in business since 1837. I ran into the general manager, the president for this company, and I said, have you guys been around since 1837? He said, I didn't say that. So people are just assuming these guys have been in business since 1837. They didn't say it, but it turns out 1837 was the road number. Okay. But look at the audaciousness. Okay, you can look at teas at 51 rupees per 100 bag, for 100 bags at the mandi, or you could be looking at 1,000 that Amazon is selling, and what was it? Twinings is selling it at 929. Okay, we have to think bigger. We can make 50 rupees, we can make 900 rupees. Please let us focus on the branding. There's lots of opportunity as we look at the future. Processed goods are being sold all over the world. And I know I've been chewing up a lot of time out here, but let me just kind of wrap up that many things that are happening that are coming the India way. So you look at wine. This area is growing wine. Now when you think of wine, you think of France. Do you think of Texas as wine country? Not really. But what the climate in Texas, Central Texas, is similar to France. And so they started raising grapes. They started coming up with their own wines. And the way they got the wines popular is arranging wine tours where you and I can go in a mini bus and go to 6 wineries and do wine tasting. And I'll tell you one more story. 15 years ago, I was invited to a wine tasting party in Milan. We were all supposed to bring a bottle of wine with us. I did not read the full email, and I took with me a bottle that I purchased in Milan at the grocery store, because everybody was supposed to bring a bottle. They put the bottles in an aluminum wrap so we could not see the brand, and we were supposed to do the tasting. The wine I was supposed to bring was a Pinot Noir. What I took was an Italian thing, it wasn't a Pinot. And in the blind taste test, it came in as the number 2 wine. And it came in number 2 because I rated it low. It might have come in as number 1 if I had not rated it low. People don't really know how to taste wine. They'll say they do, but I think we have the opportunity to build a brand. If Texas can build a brand on wines, I think definitely we can with the quality, etc., that we have in place. So let me just wrap up by saying that the world is coming our way. Yoga is popular. We're looking at organic food getting popular. Buddhism is getting popular. All kinds of things are going the Indian way. And I think we can look at organic products coming from India, quality products coming from India, and what we ought to do is look at how do we extract better value. Thank you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights. Adhering to the paucity of time, we move forward quickly to the next topic, from farm to market, global perishable strategies. And this presentation is by Mr. Kuljit Rajarora, Refer Sales Manager, Fruits and Vegetables and Processed Food from AP Molar Maersk, Mumbai. Please welcome him to the dais.
Good afternoon, everyone. Namaskar. Thank you for inviting me. And, this topic, which is farm to market, is very close to our heart. And we, as India, is second largest producer of fruits and vegetable. And with so many climate zones, I think more than 15 major climate zones out of the 26 which is globally exist. So we have the huge potential, not only what we are growing already, but what we can produce. And we already heard a lot of speakers, speaking before me that diversity is the key. क्या नई variety लेके आ सकते हैं? Grapes में we are already seeing that Sahyadri group is already making a change along with a lot of other players. So with that approach, I think this is one of a very, very close topic to our heart. And other than this, I would say that, India is already considered as a global supplier, and the kind of approach which is coming from all the segments, be it the farmers, be it the FPOs, the government bodies, I think it's time when India gonna shine for sure. And चाहे वो यूरोप की बात करें हम grapes में, या फिर बाकी Middle East countries की बात करें, या US की बात करें, this week only we've exported our first container of Pomo into US. So ये सारी चीज़ें बताती हैं that India is pretty much ready to become a global supplier. And the topic which is farm to market, I'm going to divide that topic into two sub-segments. One is the the challenges of the logistics primarily from the supply chain provider, and second is the opportunities, what's MER's outlook on the entire agri industry out of India. So अगर challenges की बात करें तो well सारे challenges अब से पहले cover हो चुके हैं, that we do have infrastructure gaps when it comes to post harvest management, चाहे आप उसको pre cooling की बात करें या cold storage की बात करें, irrespective whether your crop is getting pack graded at farm level or at pack house level. Second challenge which is there is primarily your transportation. Transportation not only moving from point A to point B, चाहे वो farm से pack house की बात हो या right from farm to end user की बात हो, it is also about, you know, whether the crop is getting reached or the harvest is getting reached in right state, right temperature. Do we have the visibility? We already discussed traceability, all those things which is still a lot of gap. And I would like to quote one example here. UK as a place have almost 80,000 plus reefer truck. You know, India, probably we have 25, 30, 40,000 max reefer truck. Considering the comparison of UK size to the size of India and considering we are the second largest producer, I think the gap is very, very big and it's going to take some serious efforts and long time to bridge the gap. But yeah, those gaps are pretty much identified and acknowledged by all the industry players. So looking forward to it. Now, other than the transportation, I think the cold storage, irrespective whether it is fresh producer or the perishable, the processed one, cold storage is something which is definitely a need. Government is already building good connectivity when it comes to the road, but it just not gonna fulfill just having a right road in place, but we do need infrastructure. चाहे आप cold store की बात कीजिए, चाहे आप distribution centers की बात कीजिए, packing houses की बात कीजिए, so that is something which is there. Other than this, the biggest challenge which we face is the access to market. Somebody was telling that हम produce करते हैं and then वो market तक नहीं पहुँच पाता है, चाहे reason उसके पीछे wastage हो या फिर reaching to the markets where that crop or that processed stickered strawberry will gonna get the more you know, premium. So that access to market is always a challenge, चाहे आप उसको domestic की बात करें या international level पे बात करें. I want to give a quote here that food mile is a term which I was reading one article and I came to know, and I was surprised that food mile in India is just 250 kilometer. And what is food mile is basically where you produce, where you harvest and where it getting consumed. So in India, the food mile, average food mile is 250 kilometer and the wastage is as good as 30, 35, 40% in few cases. You know, US, the food mile is 2,500 kilometer and the wastage is just 5%, just 5%. And the distance, the fruit and the vegetable travel in US is way, almost 10 times what India. So there is a lot of gaps. Cold chain is something which is very, very important. Sustainability is, someone says before that sustainability, net zero is something which is there. Government of India is already taking the initiatives that by 2040 we have to get net zero, but it's not only the government of India, but if we are targeting international market, organic food is something which is definitely bringing premium. But अगर हम sustainability की बात करते हैं, net zero की बात करते हैं, I think those are the things which is getting appreciated and get the premium and bring India in terms of standard right next to the any developed country, that the produce which is produced in India is the fantastic level. So those are the on the challenges part, and I will not get into more. Now coming to the outlook, what MERS feel when it comes to the Indian agri industry, I think this is one of the industry which is growing and which is growing at a super fast pace, irrespective of crop. चाहे आप banana की बात कीजिए या grapes की बात कीजिए या और किसी भी commodity की बात कीजिए. More than anything else, I think we are a population of 1.4 billion people, right? And we all know that this is pretty much unorganized industry, and hence this industry is very, very important when it comes to MERS, because when it comes to the supply chain requirement, the cold chain requirement, we are pretty much at ground zero or maybe at level 1, and there are thousands level where we need to go. So our outlook on this particular industry is very, very positive, and we are associated to this industry. We you know, carrying the grapes out of Nasik into Europe for more than 2 decades. And मुझे इस बात को सोच के बड़ी अच्छा लगता है, काफ़ी खुशी होती है when I heard all the speakers जितने भी points उन्होंने बताए, challenges बताए, that what is the need, what is the challenges industry is facing. I think we as MERS understand and acknowledge those challenges already, and we are already in discussion with a lot of industry leaders, industry players, and we as MERS committed for the innovation. So when it comes to innovation, it's not just taking one cargo from point A to point B, but how we can give visibility, be it the Captain Peter who gives the container visibility that what is the temperature inside the container. Also the CA container, somebody was mentioning, CA cold store in Jammu and Kashmir is bringing the shelf life to the Apple. So that CA container is something which was initially invented by MERS and enabling the trade. Now we got a new term called Star Ripe. This is primarily for banana, and this container is behave in two parameters. One is basically moving the banana from point A to point B in CA environment, but at the same time can trigger the ripening process during the transit, which saves give and take 5 days and then give the uniform results to the consumer and saves the transportation cost. So those are the many things which we are already building. Now, when it comes to India, India is a huge market, not only the domestic, I mean, not just from the export per se, but domestically also. Sindesh already mentioned that, India is a big domestic market, so how we can tap the domestic market. So we, MERS, are looking forward and we are already building few assets, be it the cold store or the last mile, or we can say the e-commerce thing. And we are exploring those opportunities, and our whole agenda for this event is to understand your needs and then not tell what we are doing in our logistics space, but I would like to connect all of you one-on-one as much we can and take down the needs back to our office and come up with a solution where we can grow with the industry, and looking forward to have the discussion in person. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Kuljit. I would request one of our other speakers, Mr. Ravi Kumar, General Manager, Fruits and Vegetable, Lulu International UAE, to join us on the dais. And we'll continue with our presentations. The next presentation is Egyptian Citrus Industry, Opportunities for India, by Mr. Mohammed Wafai, the Deputy Chairman and Managing Director, Capital Agro, Egypt. Could you please welcome him to the podium?
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for our participating in India. It's my first time to visit India, and we have honored for an Egyptian company, Capital Agro, for participating in this great event. Firstly, thank you for all organizers, and it's a great and a smart idea for making this event between all farmers, because we are inside what are talking about it. We already between all farmers and all practices of farmers and so on. Firstly, I will talking for this topic. She's mentioned about it, about the citrus industry in Egypt. Especially, I will making customized for exporting to Indian market. This industry in Egypt is divided by 3 parts. Firstly, we will start with the farmers and all practices inside farmers. What's the practices to cut the fruits, and what's the practices to making a package for this, and what's the practices for labor to have a knowledge how to handling the fruits, how to handling the quality, to how to handling any fruits can be defected by pre-harvest or during harvest, that our great doctor mentioned about it. So we take all tactics to avoid any defects on the fruit during this packaging from the farmers. Second stage in back houses, how to avoiding any defects in back houses and the treatment by waxing and the treatment chemicals and so on. Then we making a package in carton and the intermediate materials like cartons. We take all corrective action towards these cartons to avoid any defects in cold stores or any defects during the logistics and the transportation for a transit time. For example, then after the Red Zone, Red Sea issue, we exceed 30 to 40 days to Chennai or Kolkata or Nehava Shifa port. So we can take all tactics and all practice, best practice, to avoid any defects on temperature, for example, or for quality, to deliver high valued quality. In citrus especially, like here in growers, we start the business model by change the grower behavior towards how to service the farmers, how to using fertilizers or irrigation programs, and or committed with Global Gap or cement acidics or GRASIP and all quality certificates already in this field. We started this change of customer behavior towards this. Then we started to change the behavior of laborers inside the backhouses, because in backhouses can destroy anything we doing by growing, and to all concern or helping for growers, backhouses is the second stage. If we destroy any phase during the backhouse, or using not enough high-skilled labor by using some cross-contamination without gloves during the package and so on, it will destroy. The cold stores, it's the main focus, because cold treatment, like India, because it exceeds a long time trans time during the loading, it can have a protocol of washing and the treatment the cold stores before any storing or warehousing, to avoid any cross-contamination, to avoid microbiology generating with the products. So we take all of this inside the backhouses to make sure we already deliver high-valued fruits. So finally, we exported to like India, to China, to Brazilian. We exceed the transit time and we extend the shelf life for 30% by taking all tactics inside in our Capital Agro business model. So we already looking forward a lot and successful relationship with Indian final consumer of this, and we have a great opportunities for exceeding this number already achieved by importing this citrus. I know this citrus, especially in specific sizes for Valencia orange, especially, it's more delicious and it's have acceptable behavior consumption, likely recently, especially in 4 or 5 years ago. So we are concerned from Phytosanitary Authority in Egypt and in own Capital Agro business model to focus about this, to make more and more extending about this. So we can summarize all of citrus between Egypt and India, how to handling the fruits from farm to fork, how to handling and avoid any defects can be occurred on the product, and how to extend shelf life, start from growing and back house, and how to handling this in a long transit time and the shortage in empty containers, because the problem we already faced in Red Sea and to moving a cab road. So we take all preventive actions of this, and the main focus parallel with this, how the intermediate materials using in this, like package, we say in OM business model, the carton, for example, we have a 3P for carton. It's a packaging 15 kg of citrus, and it's already protection the fruits, so we can using this carton with a craft food grade, and it's loading by 1 ton pressure to be load for a long time in cold stores, and to promote under commercial name and marketing. So we can see what already this business model can using, and take a feedback. Currently we're already exporting to Indian market, and we take a lot of feedback after the all containers delayed for 15 and 20 days extra for TT or the time of deliver expected, and already we take a feedback. This all of tactics have a great feedback. Thank you for these participants, and thank you for all organizers, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bafai. The next presentation is on fruits and vegetables, import and consumer trends in the UAE by Mr. Siddharth Gupta, Head of Procurement, Barakat Group, UAE. Can we have a warm welcome to invite him onto the podium?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me here. So I'm from Barakat Group. I'm Group Procurement Head. So UAE, the population of UAE in 2019 was 9 million. Today, it stands somewhere around 10.5 million. So the population is increasing. The tourism is booming. The airlines are full. The hotels are full. There are new hotels which are coming up, new resorts being built. So there are big plans and the consumption is on the rise. Post-COVID, average households, resident households, increased their fruits and vegetables consumption by 50% to take care of their immunity, to take care of their lifestyle. So the fruits and vegetable consumption is on the rise. Almost 85% of the total food consumption in UAE is imported because of the climatic situations. It's not feasible to grow everything there. Although the country is working on food security, a lot of farms have come up. There's a lot of stress on food security, supporting local farms, and there's a lot of work being done on the local vegetable side. But still, UAE is dependent on imports to feed its customers and tourists. Of the total population, 88% is expatriate population. Of this 88% population, 40% are Indians, and total 60% is South Asian population, comprising Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, and other Asian countries. So as you can understand, there's a great demand for the Asian fruits and vegetables range, and India is one of the countries from where a lot of the products come. We at Barakat ourselves import from more than 50 countries, but India alone contributes almost 9 to 10% value purchase. So you can imagine one country out of 50 contributing 9 to 10%, it's a huge dependence. And we take great pride in that. But I keep telling our suppliers that, bananas, mangoes, grapes, we have mastered these products, chilies, we are exporting this. I think it's time to take on new challenges and throw ourselves the challenge of getting into new products. Quality rock melons, honeydew melons, on the lines of what South American countries do. Asparagus, avocados, berries. Let's throw ourselves this challenge and see if we can grow these products with the right specs and quality and export. The Indian market is big enough. It can be consumed locally, but I think if we grow the export specs, there's a good realization to be had for the farmers, for the exporters from out of it. COVID and the current Red Sea issue has taught us that it makes sense and it's a smart move to work with countries nearby origins, import from nearby origins. If India can work on these products and if we can develop these products with its proximity, geographical proximity to UAE, with the political friendship between both the countries, I think India can do better and it can become even a better superpower than it already is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. And now for the concluding presentation for this session on the topic of extending horizons for Indian growers, I request Mr. Ravi Kumar, General Manager, Fruits and Vegetable, Lulu International UAE, to come to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to this wonderful opportunity, mainly for this, really it is a great initiation. First of all, mainly I have to say thanks to the Sahyadri family, mainly Shinde sir and media team. It's really a very happy moment. So, and further that, I would like to say thanks to all the delegates who have come to use this opportunity, because this is a great moment. So myself, Ravi Kumar, I'm working with Lulu Group International for last 29 years. We have got 257 supermarket as well as hypermarket throughout the Middle East, and we have got 9 supermarket as well as hypermarket in India also. We are having a procurement center throughout India, all states we have. Here, I would like to inform you that if you have any items, if anyone is interested to say export any items, any fruits and vegetable, you can easily approach us. We are here. Me and my senior buyer is here. You can come to us. We are exporting on an average. Every month we are exporting 300 to 400 ton fruits and vegetable by year, and minimum 70 to 100 container mixed fruits and vegetable from Bombay, only to Middle East. So please come to us. We are happy to help, and please use this platform. Once again, I am thanking to media team as well as the Sahyadri family and all the supporter and organizer. Thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you so much, sir, Mr. Kumar. And with this, we come to an end to this session. And thank you all our dignitaries and presenters for sharing amazing and enriching insights and sharing a lot of information that we all can take forward. They are all present here. We also have the expo that's going across, so you can have a look at that. And I would request Mr. M.B. Naqviji to come forward for the presentation of the mementos. I'll request Mr. Vilas Shindeji to kindly present the mementos. To Mr. Rajendra Srivastava. Could you have a louder applause, please? Kuljit Raj Arora on behalf of Vikas Agrawal ji. To Mr. Muhammad Rafai. If we have a louder applause, please. It's not every day that you find such luminaries on the stage. Siddharth Gupta. And Mr. Ravi Kumar. Thank you so much. Can we have a group picture, please? Can we have a group picture? Yes, could we once again have a loud applause for our presenters of this session? And now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to all the presenters. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a break for the networking lunch. Lunch is served in the room adjacent, and you have coupons. All the delegates, you have coupons in your badges, so please use that while you're going ahead for lunch. And bon appetit. I'm going to expect you back here in 30 minutes. Let's have the next sessions going on time. So 30 minutes, I'll see you all back here, and we'll have more interesting sessions coming ahead for you.